Yeah, there is.
All right, is everyone ready?
I'm ready.
All right. You guys good to go? This hearing of the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals is hereby called to order. This board was established pursuant to Section 519.13 of the Ohio Revised Code by the Anderson Township trustees to provide administrative relief to any person or entity adversely affected by the Anderson Township zoning resolution. Will the secretary please call the roll?
Mr. Skank? Hello?
Good? Better? I can talk louder.
Okay. Mr. Skank? Mr. Nye?
Here.
Mr. Haber?
Here.
Mr. Halpin?
Present.
Mr. Nasilevich?
Here. Thank you for coming to this meeting of the Anderson Township Board of Zoning Appeals. Please be aware that this meeting is audio and videotaped and may be carried live on television. First, I'll outline the procedures. A summary of the appeal is presented by the staff, then the appellant will present the case. The board members then may ask questions of the appellant. After that, all persons supporting the appeal will be permitted to testify one at a time after being recognized by the chairman. When those persons supporting the appeal are finished, those opposed to the appeal will then be permitted to testify and/or ask questions of the board after being recognized by the chairman. All persons wishing to testify, whether for or against an appeal, may only do so after being sworn in. When testifying, each person must come forward to the podium after being recognized, speak into the microphone, and state their name, address, and any affiliation of the case. All persons testifying will be limited to 4 minutes unless a board member requests additional time. All testimony is given by the board only. No comments or questions are to be directed to the appellant or anyone else in the audience. The board will only hear new, non-repetitive evidence or questions. Should someone wish to show support for previous testimony, they may do so by following the testimony procedures and stating their support of previous testimony. Now, will all persons who may give testimony this evening please stand, raise your right hand, and swear or affirm? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? All right. Are there any changes to the agenda?
There are no changes to the agenda.
I move that we accept the agenda.
Second.
Mr. Skank? Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nasilevich?
Aye. And the staff will present the next case.
We have the approval of the minutes.
Let's do minutes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Are there any changes to the minutes?
I know I had one.
There was one change to the minutes.
One change. Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the minutes of February 7th, 2019 as amended.
We have first.
Second.
What was the change? What did I miss?
Oh, there was a word that
It was
went
a
from
typo of applicant. We said appliance rather than applicant.
on page 5, paragraph 3, line 3, approved with case 10-2012, which the appliance states that the agreement. I think, what?
My bad.
Eagle Eye.
I think spell check got it, yeah.
All right, Mr. Skank?
I'm sorry. What did you say?
We're voting
We're
to
calling roll
approve the
for the
minutes.
approval of the, okay. Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nasilevich?
Aye. Now the staff will present the case.
So our first case for tonight is case 4-2019 BZA. Our applicant is Jason Barney on behalf of James Barney, the property owner. This is located at 6328 Salem Road, which is book 500, page 412, parcel 230. The zoning is C residence, and this is a variance request to allow a new detached 1,200 square feet accessory structure to be in the rear yard where a maximum size of 900 square feet is permitted per Article 5.2A7. And a little background on Article 5.2A7, in that it states that accessory structures can only be 30% of the rear yard. And so based on our calculation, that's where we get that they are only allowed to have a maximum of 900 square feet. So case history for number 4-2019 BZA. The house was built in 1918, and the property owner purchased the property in 1976. An existing 1,300 square foot accessory structure is located in the rear yard. It's a 3-car garage. However, there's no zoning certificate on file, and based on aerial images, it looks like it was built prior to township zoning, which could be why that there's no zoning certificate on file. So here is an image or property map of this. And so that calculation that I was talking about takes the rear yard width times the required width of zoning, so the C zoning, times 30%. So that's how we get the 900 square feet. Here is the aerial showing the existing house and accessory structure. Here's a topography map. The site's pretty flat. This is the submitted site plan. Our apologies for it not scanning very well. But here is the house, the existing accessory structure, and then their proposed accessory structure. And here is a plan that was submitted by the applicant. This is the view from Salem Road when you pull into the driveway. This is their existing accessory structure. This is the back of the existing accessory structure. Again, looking at the back, so the house is not in view right now. This is looking at the side of the property. Again, this is another side of the property showing the vegetative screening in between property lines. This is standing at the edge of the existing accessory structure, looking towards the rear of the yard, and you can see that they have, their yard's extremely deep. This is standing from the other edge of the property looking towards their house. So this is the existing accessory structure. So staff finds that the variance is not substantial. The applicant is requesting an additional 300 square feet for a total size of 1,200 square feet, where 900 square feet is permitted. As I stated, with the depth of the yard being 522 feet and the total area of the rear yard being approximately 44,500 square feet. Therefore, even with the proposed accessory structure, the property would still consist of approximately 42,000 square feet of open space in the rear yard. The essential character of the neighborhood would not be substantially altered, and adjoining properties would not suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance. The height of the proposed accessory structure is 13 feet 7 inches, which is compliant with the zoning resolution. In addition, the properties to the east are screened by an existing vegetative screening and are located approximately 450 feet away from the proposed accessory structure. The property to the west is located 140 feet away from the proposed accessory structure, and the property to the north is approximately 225 feet away from the proposed structure. The variance will not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The property owner's predicament can be feasibly obviated through some method other than a variance. Our zoning resolution does not limit the amount of accessory structures that you can have on a property, just the size. So they could build multiple accessory structures that are up to 900 square feet. But for the use that the applicant has described, it would be more practical to build one detached accessory structure at a larger size than multiple smaller ones. The spirit and intent behind the zoning requirement would be observed and substantial justice done by granting the variance. Due to the deep nature of the property in comparison to the neighboring properties on Salem Road, the subject property will still have a large open space in the rear yard, even with the proposed accessory structure. And these are your standards to be considered. And staff recommends that the proposed structure shall only be used for personal use by the property owner and shall not be used for commercial or business activities. I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
So I do have a clarification regarding zoning, please. That, I understand how we came up with a 900 square foot calculation.
Correct.
In that, an accessory structure cannot be any more than 30% of the, what I call the required rear yard. However, the accessory structure can be located anywhere within the rear yard.
Correct.
Okay. That was a clarification I needed. Thank you.
Any more questions for staff? Okay, will the appellant or the appellant's representative please come to the podium, speak into the microphone, state your name, address, and present your appeal.
Jason Barney, 6328 Salem Road, Cincinnati, Ohio, 45230. I'm building this building for a couple boats of mine, just for recreational use only, to keep out of weather. And I tend to work on them in the winter right now, as far as buffing and waxing, and a little bit of fiberglass and woodwork goes. And it would be nice to have this structure for everything to be indoors.
Thank you.
So can you explain to us why the need for the additional square footage?
Because the boats right now, the ones I have are 23 to 25 foot long, and the garage right now that we have is not long enough for those to fit inside.
Okay, so you still need the length, but you still need the width?
Yes, because I plan to put the three different, two boats and this, a workbench on the side of it.
Okay. Okay, all right,
So-
thank you.
Where are the boats now?
They're down at Aces Marina, and I'm just trying to, they're not undercover. And it's just, I like to some have a climate control as far as the upholstery goes. The wear and tear on the wear and tear down there, and then it's a dusty gravel lot. And this is my parents' house, so I just figured it would be more feasible for me to work on them there.
And this is personal use, this is not,
Personal use only. Just, yeah, just for my, just like my toys, my activity. That's it.
Thank you. Is there anyone else speaking in favor of this appeal? Okay, seeing none. We'll take testimony from anyone speaking against the appeal. Okay, seeing none. Close and we'll move on to the next case.
Can I ask the appellant another question before we close the hearing, please? Sir, if you would. You're erecting a pole barn here,
Yes.
so it's going to have a wood structure, concrete slab.
Yeah, concrete slab. Eventually, I'm doing gravel, and then eventually, within a month or two, I'll do a concrete. I just want the ground to dry out a little bit.
Okay. Can you tell me about the exterior of it?
Yeah, it's going to be basically, it's going to be painted gray. It's like a metal framing. I mean, the outside metal planks. And then
Okay.
the inside is, it's like a 2x4 structure. I don't have any plans with me right now as far as the inside, what it would look like. I could send those to you.
Well, I'm more concerned just about how the outside looks. So it's going to be a metal building?
Yeah,
You're going to use a wood pole frame?
yeah,
Uh,
I have a picture with me. I thought,
Is it this one
yeah,
right here?
that's what it's going to look like. Yes, and it's going to be gray
Okay.
with the white door.
Insulated. It's going to be an insulated building?
Yes,
Because you're going to heat it.
yes, eventually, yes.
Okay. Was there any consideration for anything other than just gray metal panels on the exterior?
That was just to keep the cost down. I
Yeah.
mean, eventually I mean, if you guys oppose something else, I mean, I could go that route.
What about landscaping?
Yeah, I mean, I'll put some shrubs, I mean, in the back. My neighbor's got a pool. If he has any concerns, I can put something, on the sides, maybe some, trees or something like that.
Okay,
I don't have any, I mean, we got woods on both sides of us.
yeah,
There's really no one back there except our neighbor in the back. He's got a pool, and I asked him, and he was totally fine about it.
okay,
He just didn't want the property being sold for commercial use, as
Right.
far as another house or developers coming in there.
right. Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Yes, thank you.
No problem. Okay, no further comments, so if there's no objection, we'll close the hearing on this case, case number 4-2019 BZA, and we'll take that under deliberation tonight after the next case is presented.
Okay, so that'll be case number 5-2019 BZA. The applicant is Daryl Myrinke on behalf of the Anderson Township Historical Society, the property owner. The location is at 2560 Bartles Road, that's Book 500, page 360, parcels 32, 41, 51, and 45. The zoning is A residence. The request is for a conditional use and a variance to allow the use of the property located in A resident zoning for a cultural facility. A little bit of history about this property. It's composed of 6 parcels. Prior to Anderson Township Historical Society's purchase in 2005, the property was of agricultural use. So here's a property map of the 6 parcels. So down on Clough would be the log house that we are all familiar with, and then going up Bartles would be the retaining wall, and then the Bartles house at the front of the property. So this is an aerial map. Topography map, so the topography varies throughout the property, with a creek running through the southern half. So, here's a site plan of the proposed, and so included would be 12 4x8 raised garden beds, 120 5x20 garden plots, a gravel parking area with 16 spaces, the renovation of the existing barn and the 3 homes on the property, as well as the existing cisterns, space for beekeeping, herb gardens, and mushroom farming, and then an area for a hoop house. Okay. So here's the front of the property that faces Bartles Road. This is looking down the existing driveway. Okay. This is looking south towards Clough, with the retaining wall that I mentioned, and the Bartles house. So this is on Bartles, looking from the sidewalk up towards where the parking area and the garden plots would be located. Once again, down the driveway, further up. So this is the view looking southeast at the accessory structure to the Bartles house, and the house closer towards Clough. This is looking at where the garden plots would be located, next to the ball fields at Turpin. This would be where the garden plots would also be located, and then a portion of the parking area and the raised garden beds. This would be where the proposed compost and mulch area would be. And then this is looking towards Bartles. This is looking towards the driveway from the northern side of the property. This is the existing barn. The topography behind the barn that goes down towards the creek. This is where the hoop house would be located, would be on that concrete pad to the right. This is the house closest to Clough. This is the view from the house. And then this is the view from the base of the hill at the tree line, located towards the rest of the property. So, staff believes that the site falls under the conditional use of a cultural facility due to both the farming aspects as well as the potential beekeeping of animals on the site, or potential keeping of animals on the site. While the conditional use of institutional/government facility was considered, the added intensity of animals led more to a cultural facility. So some of the criteria included but not limited to cultural facility would be botanical garden, museum, outdoor drama theaters, and zoo. So A is in compliance. A, D, E, and F, which are related to structures, storage areas, setbacks, and parking, cannot be identified due to the site plan submitted. G is in compliance. H and I would be, so the vehicular use area can also not be identified because of the site plan submitted. And then potential nuisances, the applicant is working towards collaborating with the adjacent properties for parking purposes and for tours. It has also been proposed to enclose the compost slash mulch barrel that resides on the property line closest to Turpin. And then once again, landscaping, there was no landscaping plan provided. However, the existing vegetation surrounding the property is to remain with honeysuckle and invasive species removal. No signage has been proposed. A lighting plan was not submitted as well. However, existing lighting is proposed to remain with no additions. So Y, the intensity of the particular use shall be evaluated with regard to the location, size, and configuration of the track. The applicant stated that any tours or presentations to groups at the farm would be scheduled during the work week, 1 tour a day, Monday to Friday. As for Z, no emergency response plan has been submitted. So Article 5.3D3 includes our design standards. So the submitted site plan shows the proposed parking stalls to be 9 by 18, where they are required to be 9 by 19. For maneuverability purposes, the current proposed aisle width is 14 feet. The applicant is required to provide 24 feet for a drive aisle for turning around and backing up. So the surface proposed would be a gravel parking area. It is not compliant with Article 5.3 of the zoning resolution and will require a variance for approval. Article 2.12D8A, the proposed use and development will comply with the spirit and intent of the zoning resolution. There will be no adverse effect on the surrounding properties. The adjacent single-family homes are located approximately 50 feet or more from the eastern property line and approximately 200 feet or more from the existing structures. Proposed would be a confined compost barrel near the northern edge of the property. The protection of public services, so the natural features of the site will not be affected by the conditional use, as there is an intent to protect the scenic nature of the site for educational purposes. The existing cisterns are proposed as water sources and will require compliance with Hamilton County Soil and Water and the Board of Health. There is currently a creek running through the property, which the applicant is proposing to bring students into to study the water quality. The project is consistent with the following goals of the quality of life chapter in the comprehensive plan, and the goals in the land use and development chapter. Variance request, Article 5.3D3C, which would be our parking standards. Staff is of the opinion that the variance is substantial. The location of the parking area is elevated and set back over 50 feet from the right-of-way along Bartles Road. However, the gravel parking area, gravel driveway width, and configuration and dimension of the parking area do not comply. The essential character of the neighborhood would be altered, and adjoining properties would suffer a substantial detriment as a result of the variance for a gravel parking lot. With the drive aisle only being wide enough for one-way traffic, the potential to back up onto Bartles Road is increasing. The variance would not adversely affect the delivery of governmental services. The variance can be feasibly obviated through paving and expanding the drive aisle and parking lot instead of graveling, which would comply with the regulations. The spirit and intent behind the zoning resolution would not be observed, and substantial justice would not be done by granting the variance based on the surface material and width of the driveway and dimensions and configurations of the parking area. So these are the standards to be considered for the conditional use, which as stated would be the Botanical Garden, Museum, outdoor drama theaters, and the zoo. And then these are the BZA standards to be considered. And then these are the standards to be considered for the variance request. So staff would be happy to answer any questions. There's one more slide. Oh, you're right. So staff recommends the following conditions be placed in order to approve the special zoning certificate. Number 1, a scaled site plan showing the measurements of the proposed additions as well as the distances from the property lines. Number 2, a complete landscaping plan for the site shall be submitted demonstrating compliance with Article 5.3L of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. Number 3, a lighting plan shall be submitted in compliance with Article 5.3K of the Anderson Township zoning resolution. And number 4, a site plan with a vehicular area in compliance with Article 5.3D3 of Anderson Township zoning resolution.
And if I could just add something before you all ask questions, staff would also like clarification on the parcels that are involved in this. So if we go back to the site plan, or at least an aerial, right now they're showing including the log cabin piece as well as this, the Historical Society offices, and staff believes that just these parcels up to the north should be considered for the conditional use.
Can you show us the topographical one again?
So this is Cleft Pike, this is Bartles Road.
That's the aerial. There's a
Oh,
topo too,
I'm
right?
sorry.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
And Sam and I would be happy to answer any questions.
I had a question. One of the things that came up, I think a couple of times in the staff's findings, was a reference to whether or not the compost mulch area would be enclosed or covered. It wasn't really clear to me whether there was any section in the resolution that either required or prohibited it from being covered. And I wasn't sure what the significance of that was.
I think we noted it in the staff report, whether being covered or not. It's not in the zoning resolution either way, but its proximity to the baseball and softball fields for Turpin High School.
Right, I think it would be considered a storage area.
You're gonna have to speak up.
Oh, I think it would be considered a storage area, and that's part of the conditional use. Yeah, criteria.
Do we have any more questions for staff?
Is there any indication of what lighting is going to be used?
Do you want to answer?
Well, the existing lighting is to remain. They did not promote or propose any new lighting, so, yeah.
On the parking, I guess I went to the site before I saw the staff report. My first reaction was, oh my gosh, parking is a disaster. The driveway, is it feasible here to put in a second driveway, do we think? I suppose that's maybe not really our purview, but
I don't know about putting in another curb cut.
yeah. I guess it couldn't be downhill because of the retaining wall. It would have to be between the existing driveway and, the property line up there.
I think we would like to keep it to one curb cut,
Yeah.
and just have their parking circulation up top, if that
Mhm.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Any more questions? Okay. Will the appellant please come up, state your name?
My name's Don Perry. I reside at 2073 Wolf Angle Road. I'm representing tonight the Anderson Township Historical Society. If you're not familiar with our Historical Society, we've been around 51 years. We own the log house. That was our main reason for existence. Our secondary reasons are preserving Anderson Township history. Number 2, education. Over the last several years, we've started emphasizing more, trying to capture some of the agricultural history in Anderson Township. We initially purchased these upper properties to shield our lower property. We have a 1796 log cabin we didn't think was appropriate to have condos and that sort of thing overlooking, and we were worried about erosion. So we bought the upper property and tried very hard to figure out what to do with it. It's tough. With a small membership and a lot of properties, we have 3 houses and a barn up there, it really didn't seem feasible to display them. Fortunately, the Urban Farm Group came up with the idea of turning it into urban gardens. I understand it's in a lot of areas of Anderson Township not legal to have gardens, and we thought it was a great educational opportunity and a real service to the community. Not something to make money on, not something to spend a heck of a lot of money on. It was being proposed just as a service to the community. Based on this hearing, it's turning out to be a lot more than that, and I'm not sure that I personally agree with all the reasons. I apologize, I'm not used to speaking to this type of group, but I think Daryl may want to speak more to the actual plans.
Thank you, folks, for taking the time to hear us. My name is Daryl Myerenke. I reside at 6015 Clough Pike, Cincinnati, Ohio 45244. As Don had mentioned earlier, or late last year, the township put out a call for ideas for the use of that property. And I know from personal, I own the family pet center on Clough Pike, and I know a lot of people like their animals. They like to go visit farms. They go to Parkey's Farm, Sunrock Farm over in northern Kentucky, Gorman's Farm out in Wyoming, but there isn't anything really around here. And we've always had such a rich history in agriculture and farming here that it's kind of slipping away, especially with the most recent hearings you guys have heard. It's you know, the property that was once farmed for crops and agriculture, it's leaving. So basically I proposed to the township, or to the Historical Society, that we create, for lack of another word, a interpretive farm, one where the kids could come out and maybe see a goat, find out where chickens come from, see a farm, learn about sustainable agriculture, the importance of bees and butterflies in our environment, macroinvertebrates. And they said, great, you take the project. You do it. I said, okay, we'll see. So this just started out, and I put out an email to whoever was on my email list, and I got the most incredible group of residents to respond and want to get involved. Very diverse group, lots of varied interests, one of which is a teacher at Mercer Elementary. We have actually got a grant to work with the McLean Foundation, from the McLean Foundation, for a couple projects that will be in collaboration with Mercer Elementary. And you know, if you could, this thing is just kind of taking legs, and we want to keep it small. It has really brought the community, or at least our community down there in the Clough Valley area, together. And you know, I guess our goal, or our thought is if you could imagine, for example, our part of our grant with the McLean Foundation is to extend a trail over from Mercer Elementary to the farm where the children would raise chickens and like 6 chickens, not poultry chickens, but 6 chickens, in a chicken tractor that can be moved around the farm, and they can study the life cycle of of chickens and the value of what they contribute to agriculture. And and part of that is to develop a trail. So if you can imagine an educational experience for the children where they walk out their back door, go through the gate of the lay yard, down the path, across the stream, or first across a spring, an everlasting spring that gushes water 365 days a year, and over across the stream where there is macroinvertebrates that they can study, and to measure the quality of the water in the area, you want to study those macroinvertebrates and the varieties of them. The path would wind on past the over to the natural resources area, basically, where we have primitive resources. I did have, actually, I should have probably given it to you earlier. I am so sorry. If I could, I've got a revised site plan and a parking agreement with the KFC, Moeller KFC. We understand that parking's tough, and we certainly don't have money to pave that driveway. And we are just a group of citizens wanting to create and make a better community here in Anderson Township. So we have been in touch with the Moeller KFC, and they have granted permission for us to use their parking area, the same area that the students would use from the high school, so that we can use that after hours and on weekends for parking. And also I have in here an emergency plan that I put together with mostly Bob Herlinger put it together, the Assistant Chief Fire Department. So if I could give this to you now, it may make it a little bit clearer.
Thank you. Thank you.
While I'm passing these out, you can notice that there is no more mention of the compost area. Since that was a concern. Basically, we really were undecided as to whether we would have a compost area anyway. And how it got on there, I'm not sure, but basically it's a mulch area where we're going to keep the mulch to go in between the aisles of the garden and help keep the weeds down. But you know, if you can imagine continuing or past number 14 down to number 15, which would be our primitive resourcing skills, where we can talk about the difficulties our early pioneers had in developing and living in this environment, hunting, trapping, fishing. That was what they were required to do to survive. Okay. Eventually, those difficulties led to an agricultural society with farming and ranching. Okay, so our from 15, the trail would go past number 16, which is our mushroom farm, where they could see native. We could grow farm mushrooms there, and also there would be native mushrooms, morels, in that area. That was heavily wooded. Down 17, towards the end of the bottom of the cleared area behind number 12, which is we call our brown house. We would have pollinators and bees for the kids to learn about them. And this can continue to grow and morph into a even bigger project where they would walk on down. They would learn about the 1796 log house that we have, come back up the sidewalk to the Bartels house, which was constructed in 1850, drop down to the Brown house, which is constructed around 1900, and up to the Hornsmeyer house at the very end, which would be right past our gardens, which is built in 1950. And all along the way, they could learn about the different lifestyles that people lived in those periods of time. And it can be a great learning experience for our students and for the adults, and help the farming. We would like to maybe do some type of seminars, some training for people who have gardens or that are interested in gardening, possibly some canning seminars. There's really no end to what we could do. there's only a limit to our resources that we have to work with on it. So, you know, we do respectfully request that, you know, yes, our driveway is gravel, but it's been gravel for 200, or, well, it's never been blacktop. And if this is not an acceptable use for that property, it probably will never be blacktop. And, you know, we just want to make it look nice and do the best we can do with it. Suppose you have a million questions, and we'd be ready to field them at any time.
Blacktopping aside, what's the feasibility of just making the parking lot a little bit wider? I mean, our design standards call for something like a 22 or 24 foot aisle, basically, and I think yours says yours is much smaller. You know.
Yes, it is. It is. And
Can you make it 8 feet wider or 10 feet wider?
we could, Mr. Nye, but we would end up having to put some retention walls on the side of it for sure. And, you know, if you notice that big wall that goes in front of that white Bartell's house, beautiful wall, we could continue that back in through there. The only problem is money, and we do not have that. There is a, you know, there is a bit of a bottleneck right there at the beginning, and if you notice on the map, it does branch off into, it kind of wise off, so the right area, because that can be one way, and it can be another way out. And given the fact that majority of the time that would be just for drop-offs, I don't foresee an issue with that. We've been up there working, as you can see from the pictures, trying to get rid of the honeysuckle and try to get it reseeded before springtime, and it's been completed. And we have not experienced any difficulty coming or going. And there's been 15, 20 people up there at a time working. So most of the time, they're all coming at one time and all leaving at one time.
I don't have any questions at this time.
Nor do I.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak in favor? Just come up to the, ma'am, have you been sworn in?
Upper part as an extension of the log house. that
Just a
we-
second, ma'am.
Hold on.
Have you been sworn in?
No, sir.
Can I swear you in really quick? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
That's me. Thank you.
And just state your name and address, please.
I'm Ann King. I live at 7526 Heatherwood Lane, corner of Lawyer and Heatherwood, and Cincinnati 45244. I'm sorry. But I see an extension of what we have down below with the log house and our barn down there, and the buildings and what the demonstrations that we do, and we tell what pioneer life was like. And I think that's to me, is an important piece of what we're trying to do up above, is to extend, because they were all farmers. Anderson Township was all farming. And that's why Mount Washington broke off of Anderson Township, because they didn't want to be associated with those farmers. So I see it as just an extension and showing people what it was like. And the plowing and the gardening, well, you know, you can't go to a store to buy food back then. You have to grow it yourself. But I just see this as a good example of extending what we do down below. That's all. But as far as coming in and out, there's always been a gravel road there, and a lot of it because we've been doing a lot of digging and chopping down trees and everything. It's very muddy. But grass seed has already been planted, so it's going to be green soon, hopefully. Yes, and these things, all the work, we've been very blessed, have been donated for us, the grass seed, the knocking down of the trees, and digging up the honeysuckle, and it's all been donated. And right now, we're working on the donation of the gravel. So we don't have the money to spend, but we just want to sell it. I'm a retired teacher, and think, teaching and to show people what it was like. That's it. Any questions? I mean, I've just been around a long time. Yeah, been around. I even taught in Forest Hills way back. But thank you very much.
Thank you. Sir, have you been sworn in?
I have not been sworn in yet.
Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do. Guy Wolf, 6001 Stirrup Road. And I hope you'll consider and bless the exception requested here. I would just point, for all the reasons, and the staff did a really nice job in pointing out the suitability of its use. Just across the street is a multi-acre gravel parking lot. I think that you may have seen it if you just turn around from the location right here, which is absolutely suitable, and I think this one is as well. Thank you.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor?
Raise my hand.
Oh, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes, I do. My name is Nick Gressley. I live at 6088 Turpin Hills Drive, Cincinnati, 45244. Thank you for hearing us out on this, too. I volunteered to help. Daryl sent an email to me as part of the group asking if I would be interested in the community garden, and I wholeheartedly support it. I belong to the community garden down at Valley View in Milford, and it's a great experience. The Valley View Foundation set up, held some land back for nature preserve and walking and hiking, as well as setting up gardens for the community to go down and garden. I think this would be such a good addition to Anderson Township. For the historical reasons that everyone's talked about, that it is an agricultural community, or it was. But the other thing, too, we're seeing a lot of people, the interest from the people even in the Turpin Hills area. When we even mention that there's going to be a potential garden, they want to do it. The ability to grow their own food, their own vegetables. Yes, we have bigger plans down the road, but for right now, the community garden, I think it brings a lot of people out. It also keeps those properties protected, because we'll have people around the properties all the time. I know tonight, and I may not know enough, but it sounds like the road is an issue, or the driveway is an issue. But as Daryl said, if we can get an agreement from KFC, which we do, to have parking, I know that from my experience with community gardens, there's usually not a throng of parking going on around the garden. It's usually one or two people that come in, they drop off, and they go where they have to go and do their gardening and their weeding. So I really do hope you consider this as valuable to the community as I do, and the rest of the people who have testified this evening. Thank you.
Sure.
Do you have a written agreement with KFC for their parking?
Yes, sir, it's attached to the package.
What's the timeline as far as all this work is concerned? I mean, are you going to start with everything at once, or are you going to put in the gardens first? And
Yeah,
there's a lot on the plate here.
most of the work is done to begin with.
Okay.
We've been doing a lot of clearing, cleaning. The garden has been turned over. We are in the process of renting, we're getting ready to rent out the spaces. No animals would show up until 2020. We want to have a garden this year, okay? And the chicken part agreement with Mercer is going to happen probably right after the first of the year, when you get the young chickens and the school year we have the grant, but we'll probably do the trail connection and stuff in the fall, and then early in the spring we'll have them, or early in the winter we'll have the chickens come on. So that's the only plan we have at this time.
Other animals besides goats, you figure?
No.
Deer?
Yes, we don't expect to. We may raise some. We will not harvest any. And we will not intentionally permit their feeding. However, I'm sure that's one of the concerns our gardeners will have. And that's quite honestly, it's a learning process. How do you deal with the deer? There are ways to deal with the deer. Sometimes they win, sometimes you don't. You do. But that's part of it. It tells how difficult it was to establish and live back in the day.
So I guess for the chicken or the poultry, it'll be like a coop situation?
Yes, sir. We would, possibly there used to be a coop there, and we could reconstruct that. Talked about doing that, but for the immediate future, all we're going to do is we're going to supply some students with the older students the plans for what they call a chicken tractor, and that can be moved from space to space. It's on wheels. It contains half a dozen chickens, and you can move it around the yard. And and they can peck in free range in that general area. They're not running loose. They get natural food sources. And as the grass starts to get a little wore down, you move them another 10 feet or 20 feet away, and they go over there. So, yeah.
So basically, the animals will be in some level of enclosures?
Absolutely, absolutely. We no facility that we have, we're required to be at least 200 feet away for any enclosure. Inside, where we keep them inside, we're way over that, 300 to 400 feet. And any enclosure where they're outside, it has to be 100 feet away. And we're way over that. And, is there anything besides chickens? I mean, yeah, maybe some ducks, maybe some quail, maybe a dovecote for some pigeons to teach about how the pigeons helped support our troops in the World War I, the homing pigeons. We going to be raising hogs there? I doubt it.
No birds of prey?
No birds of prey? Well, there'll be some there. Yeah. Yes, sir. Yeah. Yeah. We don't intend to feed those either.
Roosters?
No, sir. Thank you.
No.
Thank you. We don't. No roosters.
No roosters?
No, this is a.
So no chicken eggs?
Well, see, there you go. Thank you. You fell into my trap. You don't need a rooster to have chicken eggs.
Aha.
You don't know
See,
that.
I was
Unless
born
you
on a
want more
farm.
chickens.
Huh?
Unless you want more chickens.
Yes, unless you want more chickens. But if you want the eggs, then there is no need for a rooster. Chickens ovulate like everybody else whenever they.
Just learned something.
There you go. But that's really, I don't mean to single you out on that, but a lot of people don't know that, and they don't know the importance of bees and the butterflies that are in the gardens. And we're losing. We already have a shortage of engineers and laborers that can do plumbing and pipe working and electric, and our manufacturing in this country is gone. Our lifestyle in this country has changed so much from the way it was. And if we don't preserve it some way, we're going to lose it. And, suppose there was a huge EMP, okay? Nobody know how to live. All this stuff is gone. And we want to preserve it and teach it and keep it going. So that's all we want to do. Thanks.
Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in favor? Okay. Seeing none, is there anyone who'd like to speak in opposition? Seeing none. The hearing, any more questions from the board?
In reviewing, I do have a procedural question. Because page 2, setbacks from any adjacent residential property line shall be a minimum of 50 feet. Staff is unable to confirm the distance. Item F, parking should not be permitted in the area defined as the front yard setback. Staff is unable to confirm the distance. H, this was working towards locating parking off-site so that dimension of the parking area does not comply with the zoning resolution. Item S, I think there's some written testimony here that there is no additional lighting. Item Z, an emergency response plan shall be submitted. Staff said not in compliance, but we've got that here today, but I don't know what I'm looking at yet. I mean, my take is that up until this evening, that staff was unable to verify compliance with the requirements, but we've got some additional information of which I don't think we've tested at this point. I don't know. Does staff need additional time in order to review the additional information that we've received here tonight so that they can make a recommendation to us? I'm trying to get an idea as to how we want to proceed, given what we've got and the time that we have tonight in being able to interpret that data.
Yeah. Can I ask the applicant a question? Is that
Sure, that's
possible?
why, keep this open.
Is this the same plan that you brought in the other day? It is, so it's still not scalable. Sure, that would be
Sure.
great.
The farm, when we started this process, we thought it was a farm, okay? It's been farm forever. 2005, when they purchased it, it was a farm, it was agriculture. So we didn't think there would be an issue with it. And the township was concerned that, you know, they said to us, we should make that, you should ask for a conditional use, because when we did our plan, we called that residential A, and there it is. And if you're going to deviate from that, we need to probably let the neighbors know, so that if there are any objections to it, they can have it up front. So in the spirit of being open, transparent, trying to think of the yuppie word to use, transparent. Okay, so anyway, in the effort of being transparent, we applied for this, and we don't have engineer to draw this up, and we don't have the money, the $5,000 to spend on that. So, but we do have a volunteer who is an architect, and she put it in architect scale. I don't know whether I screwed it up by printing it off on smaller paper or bigger paper than it's supposed to do. I'm sure I've got something to do with it not working. But to tell you the truth, it is, I think we're looking at maybe 200 feet. You know, you want to be concerned about the 200 feet. Well, I know my measurements aren't 100 foot wrong.
Is this the drawing that you created?
That's our most recent one, yes, sir. So I know, you know, it's close. It's plus or minus a few feet in there. And
Okay.
anything else? Or-
Well, thank you.
Please ask.
Does staff want us to proceed tonight and give you the ability to, I mean, we can approve this conditional use request based on the information that we have, subject to your verification, if you feel comfortable with it. Otherwise, I mean, we've got a safety plan here and whatnot, and I would want you to look at that and make sure that it contains all the elements that are necessary. And I don't know if you've had time to do that.
We have not, and I think our biggest concern is being able to scale this drawing. I know it's plus or minus, but we need to know how close those gardens are gonna be to Bartles Road, and I know it's a slope, but how close is the parking to Bartles Road, and things of that nature, and we've yet to have a drawing that we can accurately scale.
Does your architect have the capability of being able to provide a scale drawing and something that's not reduced?
And you can even, if the board chooses to continue, you could email it to me and I can see if I can get it to scale.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll figure it. We'll figure it. I mean, this is, we want to keep everything back from Bartell's Road. It's at least, 400 feet probably from Bartell Road. There should be a,
Yeah, can you go to the, just so we have it on record, sorry.
we can get a scalable drawing. I will keep my fingers off of it and let somebody put one out in scalable drawing. If you guys can approve this tonight, pending review of a scalable drawing, that's great with us. We'll figure that one out. As far as footage goes, I doubt that the gardens would be any closer than 400 feet from the road. What was your other concern, Sarah?
The parking,
Parking, it's further back than the gardens.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's not,
I know it's a big lot, but we just need to be
Hey.
able to.
you got the things you got to live with, I know, but, you know, we wouldn't be doing it if it was like that crazy.
Yes.
My understanding was that you had a scale drawing from your architect that you copied to make this.
She told me it was scaled, yes, sir. I'm a retailer, I'm not a,
Did she write on it that this is a scale to 1 inch to 100 feet?
yeah. Yeah, we got, up in the top end right-hand corner, there's you measure it and it's what?
It looks like 1 inch should be about 50 feet, but it's.
Or that's
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 not an inch.
That's a half an inch.
a quarter inch.
You already have her map.
Yeah.
Why don't you just present that to staff with the scale on it?
Well, I don't have it. It was emailed to me, but I'll get it.
It was probably just printed to 11 by 17 versus the full size, so.
Thank you.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes, sir.
Is there a magic number to the number of spots you're trying to achieve on the lot? Because you could potentially rework that parking lot to get rid of dual-sided parking. Maybe
Oh,
make it one way that way.
We can make it a lot of parking, but, you know, and if we had the money to do a lot of parking.
No, I'm saying just reconfigure it so you're not having a dual drive. Just one way in and out. That way you're only parking on one side of your drive. That way you can meet that requirement.
Gotcha. Yeah, we could do that. But, you know, there's an existing base where that gravel is. And
It'll reduce the number of spots you can.
yeah, but I mean, and this was all done prior to getting the agreement with KFC. So they've been very, very helpful to us on that.
So we're gonna keep the meeting open until next week. Correct.
Oh, yeah.
Do I need a motion to?
We also have parking along the softball fields. I don't have written approval, but Erin Cox, one of our volunteers, is a teacher at Mercer, and she assured me that the principal was behind it, and we would be able to park along where the softball fields are as well. So that's paved parking. So, but once I kind of
Park along Bartles.
yes, sir,
Okay. Gotcha.
along softball fields on the side of the softball fields. Once we got the KFC,
Well, that's a public right of way.
okay,
Yeah.
that's even better.
So as we know that we're gonna get a revised site plan, can I get a motion to keep this meeting open till next meeting? Case open.
So we're talking about continuing until next month,
Continuation.
making sure that staff has the time to review the additional information, revise their findings, and so we can continue it.
The appellant will provide a scaled site plan.
Yeah.
So moved. No. That's up to that guy.
All right, I'm so sorry. But if you guys could approve it pending us doing that this evening, if you would, that will enable us to move forward quicker. I can get that to her tomorrow or the next day. I sure hate to wait a whole nother month for the next meeting to do that, but if it kind of feels like you're leaning on, if that's cool with her, go for it, and I certainly will get that to her, and if she don't like it, that's cool, done. But, you know,
Well, it might be cool with her. I don't know if it's cool with me yet.
well, okay.
And
Yes.
I'm only saying that because we rely on staff's testimony and a written report here
Mhm.
to help guide us in the decision that we're trying to make. And trust me, I think what you guys are doing is great. Don't
Thanks.
get me wrong,
Yep.
okay? If all of this was satisfied tonight, I'd be voting for it, but I'm
Okay.
just, you know, especially with the emergency report. What if she comes up against something that says that's not right? And we're going to approve it tonight, and yet she's going to, I mean, we're going to be able to empower her to deny it because something isn't working, doesn't jive. So my preference would be that we can continue it and get the information, and then we would be able to take care of it next month.
However you all
Okay?
want to do it.
Okay?
Oh, we're okay on time frame. It just, we don't want anybody to, well, we can do the garden space too. It won't hold us up. I'm just hoping to get it resolved, but
No, thank you.
we can wait.
Thank you, thank you.
Sure.
I was led to believe by township people that really the garden spaces themselves would not be not in compliance with what we want to do. It was the further steps, the chickens, maybe the pathway, the macro inverter study or whatever it is. So, you know, if we could proceed with the plots themselves, it's a time-sensitive issue. We have to get them going. People want to get plants in the ground for this year. The only other comment is there is no lighting plan, but I don't see this as a nighttime activity. We currently have safety lighting up there, and I would not see people coming up there and farming after dark. People don't work that long anymore. Sorry about that.
I can address the garden plots.
Yes.
So we had a meeting with Mr. Perry and Mr. Myrinky before they applied for Board of Zoning Appeals. And in that meeting, they had originally thought about just doing the garden plots and waiting additional time before submitting for Board of Zoning Appeals. And staff told them that they could proceed with the garden plots without approval. But the aspect of the hoop house, the mulch, the primitive resource skills, mushroom farming, bees, animals, et cetera, would need to come before the Board of Zoning Appeals. So now we're looking at it all together.
In other words, if we walked out of here today with nothing settled, it's the staff's opinion that they could start building a garden tomorrow.
Correct?
Regardless of our actions tonight.
Correct. But they could not set up bees or,
Does that address your timeliness issue if it comes to that?
Mr. Chair, regarding case 5-2019 BZA, I'm moving that we continue the case until our next meeting, that we leave the public hearing portion of the meeting open so that any additional information that staff needs in order to revise its findings report to the board can occur, that they have ample time to review it. And that because of testimony tonight, that the appellant may be able to proceed with the garden portion of their conditional use request.
just to clarify, you're requesting a new drawing to scale,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Thank you. Well, I was just gonna leave it open. Whatever you need, you need,
Okay,
okay?
thank you.
And if it's not to scale, then you'll make sure you get it to scale. But at least they'll be able to then proceed with the garden portion of it,
Correct.
okay? And I think, so that we will also then continue the variance portion as well.
We have a first.
Just thinking about it for a second.
Yeah.
Make sure I've got it all. You just want to continue some progress, get an additional drawing for the staff to address the scale issues and maybe consider, for example, the parking agreement and whether that affects
And-
the need for variance.
And the emergency plan that was submitted tonight as well.
I'll second that.
We have a second.
All right, Mr. Skank? Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nasilevich?
Aye. So this will close the public portion of the case,
No,
not
no.
the first case. We still have to. To the.
Yeah, but we didn't close this case.
No, no, no.
Okay,
It resolves it for today.
Yeah.
yeah, good.
Do we want to take a short recess? Okay. Take a short recess?
Okay. Were you on the board? There's that property that's located over by, I think it's Nagel and State, that is a big farm, kind of like a smaller farm area. And they wanted a gravel driveway. We granted that. Do you remember that?
No. Which part do I read now? My memories don't go back that far anymore.
How far does it go back?
Just,
5 minutes?
Yeah.
5.5 minutes?
Was that the one where they wanted to, that we required that they expand it by, to 30 feet or something like that?
Yeah. Okay.
Is everybody ready?
I'm ready.
Give them a minute, I think.
Give them a minute. All right. So we're back. So we're back from recess.
Are we on to discussion of case 4?
We will now deliberate case 4-19 BZA. Does anyone want to start us off?
I move that we approve it based on a recommendation from the township staff, and that the construction be started within a year and completed within 2.
Second.
Can I make a note in compliance with the submitted drawings of,
In compliance with the submitted drawings.
thank you.
Second.
And do you want to consider the recommendation from staff that's on your screen?
He said that.
Per staff
Yeah,
Okay.
per staff recommendation, personal use only.
Mr. Skank?
Oh, whoa, 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 whoa. Let's have a little discussion before we run to the vote, please. I'm always flummoxed about additional accessory structures here in the township because we do limit them to 30% of the required rear yard. However, we do not regulate the number, which seems peculiar. Thank you, sir.
Well, it's because like we count pools as accessory structures and it sheds and
Right. So a person would be able to fill their entire rear yard with accessory structures, even though typically we don't. So to me, it's kind of funny that we ask people to come and submit for a variance request for an accessory structure when they could build two of them at 1,800 square feet, and we have to come to a variance for one that's 1,200 square feet. So I'm kind of flummoxed about this. Oh, he wouldn't listen, or she wouldn't listen, I don't know. So to me, I think probably the one piece of concern that I have is the exterior elements of it. And I don't, just being a pole barn with metal siding is kind of what am I trying to say? I wish it were a little bit more upgraded in order for it to be in a residential area. However, hold on. However, if he came with two 900 square feet, or if he came with one 900 square foot building and then another 300 square foot building to get his 1,200 square feet, he'd be able to do whatever he wanted. So I would like to see some landscaping on that back side of it. And I think the appellant mentioned that he would be willing to do something like that. So, I'm in favor of granting the variance, don't get me wrong. I'm spending a moment pontificating my flummox regarding the zoning code. I would like to see some taxus or some evergreens or something put on that backside to kind of buffer it from that one residential guy from the back. And I'm done.
Didn't I move?
you did.
Are you moving to amend the conditions?
No. Stay with what I believe that the vegetation will be put in by the owner. I don't know that we need to require it.
I move the question then. Appreciate my.
I think we had a first and a second.
Do you need a second? Second.
All right. Mr. Skank? Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nasilevich?
Aye.
What?
Okay. Can they pick it up tonight and come back later? Just so you know, you can pick it up maybe Monday. It'll be, staff will. Okay. Are we ready to journalize?
I know, we're plugging into Brad. We switched computers.
My grandfather left the Army in October of 1918.
Let us know when you're ready to scroll.
So this is Jason Barney on behalf of Jason Barney.
James.
Oh, James, okay.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Whoa. Thank you. Oh, God, thank you.
Son on behalf of dad.
I read way too fast.
Yeah, I'm good.
Yep.
Mhm.
Did you see how deep that property was? I often thought they would subdivide that and sell it off.
I'm good.
Mhm.
Mr. Chair, regarding case 4-2019 BZA, I move that we approve and journal the case.
I second.
Mr. Skank? Mr. Nye?
Aye.
Mr. Haber?
Aye.
Mr. Halpin?
Aye.
Mr. Nasilovich?
Aye. We're adjourned. Oh, did I steal your? No, I had your, oh, did you grab the,
Wow.
the stuff I was reading? Then I was gonna take it home with me. Or I was gonna oh, that's crazy. I don't know what I do with it. Okay. That's fine. Mm-hmm.
You got the horsemanship merit.